Hello everyone, welcome back to the Union Pacific Railroad Evanston subdivision in HO Scale. Welcome back to the layout and welcome to part 2 of this last weekend's update. On Sunday, actually Monday, I did post an update for the week which included some more turnouts for this end, the west end of the Evanston Yard. And this video, which is part 2, will be showing some operations on the layout and some of the things that we can do already, and the operations will just continue to expand as we get more and more track laid and things operational. Before we get to the operations, though, I want to just talk a little bit about this control point. Thanks to some pretty good comments from some viewers, I have decided not to move the turnouts, but instead just put an additional crossover here. So there will be 2 crossovers, 3 altogether, but 2 crossovers going from the right-hand main to the left-hand main. And it basically will allow trains to come out of the yard and at the same time have a train on the main line go around that same train, which is what we're going to see right off the bat. Kind of get an idea of what we're talking about. In this case, actually, we're having a train go into the yard. And we'll be able to see some additional operations that can take place with it being just an addition of a turnout rather than moving the turnouts. One thing that's going to be different is that we will not have to cross over at Aspen. We can cross over twice here, but with keeping that crossover instead of moving it, you can see the additional operations that can take place where you can have trains going into and out of the yard. Now in this case, they did have to cross over at Aspen and get into the left-hand main, but they can go into the yard while a mainline train is able to go around that same train. So at this part of the Evanston sub, trains are right-hand running. So the mainline train is going from the right-hand track to the left-hand track. And you can see this is pretty cool, the kind of operations that we're going to be able to have. Will definitely give the dispatcher a little bit more flexibility in moving trains across the Evanston sub. But the operations today will be, you can kind of see the 2 trains crossing over at the same time at the same crossing control point. This is a manifest train that's coming into the arrival departure track. This is headed up by 3 SD70Ms made by Athearn. So at the Evanston Yard, there's going to be 3 types of trains that it's going to be making use of the yard. 2 types will be trains that are arriving and terminating at the yard. So there will be 2 locals that will come from Green River and from Ogden, and they will terminate at the Evanston Yard. And what I mean by terminate, that they will come into the yard and they will uncouple their locomotives from the train, and then the yard crew will completely break down the train and sort the train into the classification tracks. Now here you can see this train did clear the turnouts, so we're able to go ahead and throw that back to closed. And now the operations can begin in swapping out cars. So we will have 2 trains that are going to be coming, one from Ogden and one from River, one from Ogden and one from Green River. Here you can see that same train, by the way, that just crossed over from the right hand to the left hand at the Evanston control point, and now it's able to cross over back to the right hand running. So it definitely gives some additional flexibility to the dispatcher. So we'll have 2 trains that will terminate at the yard, and then there will also be 2 trains that will originate at the yard. So by terminating, we means that it will be completely broken down and will be sorted in the classification tracks for departure at a later date. And then there will also be 2 trains that originate at the Evanston Yard, and they will be trains that will be made up from cars on the classification tracks. So they will be put together and moved from the classification tracks to the departure track, and then it will head out, one towards Green River and one towards Ogden. So that will be 4 trains, 2 terminating and 2 originating. And then there will be at least 1, maybe 2 trains that will be coming into the yard, and they will not terminate there. They will just stop at the yard, and they will have cars dropped off and picked up at the yard. So they'll come into the yard, and they will have their locomotives moved from their train to the engine facilities, while the yard crew then will swap out the cars. Once that swap out is completed, then another crew, or new crew, will take a couple of road engines, couple to the train, and then head out again from the Evanston Yard. But it will be the same train, even though it has a new crew and a new set of locomotives. All right, lastly, we'll see the coal train then takes off once the eastbound train goes by. All right, now, so we don't have all the tracks laid to do all that terminating and originating at this point, or even moving locomotives to the engine facilities. So we are going to do some switching, though. So we're going to use the regular road engines that pulled this train in, and we're going to go ahead and drop off some cars and pick up some cars. So we're basically going to be dropping off all of the reefers at the head end of the train, and then pick up cars from the yard. Now this drill track, or switching lead, will be extended from this point. Don't have all the tracks in. In fact, I have to expand the road bed out a little bit. So you can kind of see the end of it there to the left, where the engines are heading towards. And the drill track is going to be extended probably another 5 or 6 feet from there. So you'll be able to pull out almost all the cars on each of the tracks into the, but with the use of the drill track. All right, so I pulled a little bit too far here, so I'm backing up a little bit. I'm uncoupling by hand here. I'm going to get an uncoupling tool at some point in time. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and drop off these, I think it's 5 cryogenic reefers. Now the first time I throw the turnout here as a coal train goes by, I actually did not pull the car out as far as I should have. So I'm having the turnout thrown underneath the car right here. Here you get an idea of how far the track goes right now. It's going to go another, like I said, probably 5, 6, maybe even 7 feet, so that more of the cars can be pulled out. But so we're kind of limited right now. You saw me changing my mind on having all 5 of them pulled out. I was only able to do 4. I did not have enough room to do all 5, so I put one back. And then I'm dropping these 4 off, and then I'll get that last one and put it in there after I get these in. All right, so we have 4 of the 5 dropped off. I'm going to, now that I have those 4 in there, I'm going to go ahead and get back the 5th one and put it in there also. Now, I would have been able to put all 5 of them in at once, but I do not have the drill track completed all the way. All right, there's where I switched it underneath the... I knew at some point I had switched the turnout underneath the car. So I have to pull it out a little bit further. Yeah, that's better. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and get the 5th cryogenic reefer. Surprisingly, the couplers all worked pretty good. And this is all basically taking place on a curve right now. But I had pretty good luck with them coupling. Most of the switching will probably take place at the other end of the yard. But we will have 2 sets of locomotives, one on each end of the yard to do the switching. Again, the road crews will not be doing the switching in normal cases. Once we get all the track laid and things in better status operationally, these locomotives will be at the fueling station while the yard crew actually does the swapping out of cars. Right, now that the 5 reefers are dropped off, we'll go ahead and pick up the... That came off when I uncoupled it. And it's still coupled, even though it was off the track. All right, so now we're picking up 5 cars. All right, we have the switching duties completed. And we'll go ahead and take this same train back onto the main line to complete its run across the Evanston subdivision. So the yard ran flawlessly, except for a couple of operator errors. In one case, I derailed a brown boxcar when I was uncoupling, didn't put it back on the track correctly, and then the first error was throwing the turnout underneath the car. But other than those 2 operator errors, everything ran flawlessly. And this coming weekend's update, I will have the rest of the turnouts put in for the yard. And so all 7 tracks will be functional. All that will remain then at the Evanston Yard will be a couple of switches here right in front of you on the drill track to go towards the engine facility. So there'll be 1 turnout to go off of the drill track into the engine facilities, and a second turnout that will split the track into 2 tracks. So there'll be 2 tracks that will go through a fueling station and then into the engine house. And then there's a couple more turnouts on the other end for the car shops. So once I get those in, then all of the track work and turnouts and everything will be done at the Evanston Yard. So I should be able to have all that done by the end of the year. So first switching operations on the west end of the Evanston Yard. Thanks so much for watching. We'll have Friday night freights again, I think, this Friday around 7 o'clock or so, and then an update again on Sunday. Everybody have a great rest of the week. Take care, everybody.
Didn't hang his head over there, came back, more determined with it.